The challenge, as you mentioned, is essentially for very small startups is selling to enterprise, because when you don't have let's make an example. You go to an automotive company, which is a billion-dollar company. They're making a couple of hundred of millions in revenue. It's a really hard decision to choose a security solution from something like a 1-year-old startup, because of course there is a very big board. There is a lot of people on security side.
Guys, what's going on? We got another episode of the One Network here. I got Jim with me from ResilientX. He's a entrepreneur over in Europe, cybersecurity professional. I know that's an industry that we haven't, or a niche that we haven't covered so much, but I have a little bit of background, Jim, in regulatory compliance and things like that for my early career, so I definitely want to get into that as well. For the entrepreneur audience and kind of early stage audience, Jim, do you want to give a quick background as to how you got involved in business and as an entrepreneur in the first place?
Well, sure. Thanks, Chris, first of all, for having me on this.
Absolutely.
On your podcast. And yeah, I'm Jim Biniyaz. It's been a couple of years. I've been working in cybersecurity industry. It's my second company. I did one exit in past, and also I've been working in cyber industry in Europe, but past, of course, we had many activities going on into different in Asia and US and also Australia as well. So yeah, that's essentially all day we're working in cyber. So it's almost 10-12 years that's working in this industry, and we become old after a while.
I gotcha. Cool. So did you always walk me through kind of like your early career? Like, obviously you're doing the company now, but were you always an entrepreneur or entrepreneurial person? What was your kind of like background?
No, absolutely not. I started as help desk. So I started at 17 years old, connecting, old computers to printers and stuff. Then I moved to software development. So I did, as software engineering while I was, studying in university for around 2 years. But I did move up very quickly. So I did move up, got high positions, of course, in my country, because I'm originally Iranian. Then I moved to Europe, and that was, the start of working into different companies. And just to give you an idea, I moved to Europe to continue my studies, but I kind of dropped out. So I dropped out.
Nice.
I understood that it's maybe I would probably make more bigger impact to myself and to the people around me by working and not continuing the studies. So started to work as a software engineer, then I become the typical engineering manager, cybersecurity, and then a couple of years ago, around 3 years ago, I founded my first startup. 4 years ago, and we sold it very fast. It was a very small acquisition, but learned a lot, and that built the first bricks of creating ResilientX. So that's essentially it.
Nice. Cool. So walk me through ResilientX. What does the company do, and how did you kind of come up with the concept?
Yeah. So my problem with cybersecurity was, as a cybersecurity expert, you as a company need a lot of fucking tools. Let's be honest. Okay, you need to buy something like between 5 to 10 different verticalized tools to just have the baseline of security. And the security concepts usually is divided into 3 micro categories. It's proactive security, reactive security, and predictive security. So we analyze the market, we talk with a lot of customers, and specifically talking about proactive cybersecurity, we understood that customers are adopting, and I'm talking about mid-sized customers, so customers looking at like 100 employees to 5,000 employees. They're getting something like between 8 to 12 different solutions, or not doing the investment on cybersecurity because they don't have the budget. So what we came to is creating a unified platform for specifically mid-sized enterprises and mid-market and also service providers to be able to reduce their external risk, and combining with cloud security, application security, and network security, dark web monitoring. We kind of put all these tools together and give a unified view to the end customers. Of course, that also helps us to launch our second product, which was managing the attack surface for the third-party companies, because essentially in this case we have a lot of vendors, we have a lot of suppliers. So talking about meat market, they have hundreds of suppliers, hundreds of vendors, and it's really hard to keep track of the security of their vendors and the security of the supply chain. So we kind of introduced two solutions. First one is unified exposure management, and the second one is third-party risk management, to kind of cover all the attack surface in terms of proactive security.
Got it. What types of companies do you find have the biggest need or budget available for like cybersecurity and related services?
So usually the guys in banking and finance have the budget, but talking mostly about the European Europe, for example, right now there are two main compliances, such as DORA and NIS2, which is very new in Europe, and it's kind of the trend of the market. And usually the companies that falls and are obligated to comply with these compliances have to adopt solutions because compliance is very important. And unfortunately, companies take usually steps to invest in cybersecurity if it's aligned with their strategies in terms of compliance. So that's where I find the most interesting overlap with technology, compliance, and strategy of the companies.
Nice. What are the kind of key factors building Resilient, the company in general, from like a sales or an infrastructure standpoint? What does your team look like?
Right now, most of our team are tech. So we in cybersecurity is a bit different than other industries. So
Okay.
let's say that, especially for example in startups, we see a lot of companies focusing on early revenue, going to market very fast. Cybersecurity is a bit different than other startups because we are not selling a product. We are selling security. We are selling safety of information technology, essentially. And it is very hard, of course, for cybersecurity to break, especially into enterprise market. So if you don't invest on your product, if you don't have a good product, if you don't have a good solution, it's very hard to break. So our strategy was to initially start with research and development, put enough time, put enough investment, put enough resources on technology, and don't spend on marketing. And like many many entrepreneurs says, let's have 100 people that love you. So we went for customers that loves us, and we're growing something like 10 to 15% monthly in terms of revenue and number of the customers.
Nice.
So it's a kind of good sign that we're growing.
Love it. How do, in terms of sales and marketing, we have a lot of people that's like their main challenge as a business is just getting new customers. How do you approach that?
So sales and marketing is one of the most important thing in startups, and I think sales is probably the most important thing in startups. How we kind of are facing, how we are solving this issue is by doing partnerships. So, for example, we chose the partner and channel driven sales. So we do partner with local companies in different countries and try to offer them, our solution and try to go to their customer base. Of course, we do kind of put a kind of revenue share in place, and we help the customer, the partner to grow. We make a good product for the end customer, so the customer, the next customer would come as well, and that's our current model. Of course, we try, as every startup, we try different ways. We try, every way to get, most leads, as you say. But our most focus is partnerships.
Got it. Okay. What about marketing?
So marketing, it's there are different sides of marketing. I'm a fan of content marketing. So I personally prefer to create a piece of content that has some kind of value for the end user and end customer, and just share it, freely share it, and there will be people who will come and read it on your website. Of course, it's a very long term investment. There are different types of marketing that we put into place, but most of the marketing that we do is related to our to our product. So we're not a company that we actually spend very little on marketing, to be very honest with you. And what we invest more is on our partnerships, is on customers, and technology, essentially.
Got it. And you were talking about the team being mostly tech. Like, how do you deliver the service effectively for clients? Like, how much work goes into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the beauty of partnerships. So we have different types of partnerships that we do. For example, we get local distributors, and local distributors essentially get trained on our solution. So they will learn how to implement it for the customers. They will learn how to sell it. They will learn how to distribute it to their resellers and to their network. On the other hand, we get two types of business partners. So we get value-added resellers that essentially get our solution and offer support services to their end customers. And on the other hand, we get a lot of service providers, so MSPs and MSSPs as our partners. So when the sales process is essentially longer when you go with the partners, but it gives much more better value, because in that case you have a partner, another company that already learned how to use your solution, learn how to sell your solution, and it's profitable for them because they can make a differentiation for their company by selling a new and
Nice.
advanced solution, and of course other stuff that
Nice. How do you think about competitors in your space? Like, are you going head to head with other companies? What's the competitive landscape kind of look like?
So cybersecurity is very competitive. So there are
Yeah.
a lot of companies. In my opinion, we have a big competition, but it's good to know what competitors are doing. But I don't think it's good to focus and obsess on competitions. So one thing that we do is we really want to tackle this, the solution that we provide, because if we really solve a challenge and we solve it the best way possible, the best way that they exist, we are already ahead of other competitors. Of course, we learn because we are small startup. There are big American corporate so like CrowdStrike, that we can learn a lot of stuff, but probably not the outage, but other stuff from those big corporations. But focus on the customer. You should have obsession with customers, obsession with partnerships, and obsession with bringing value.
Nice. What have been some of the big challenges in building this business?
Of course, the challenge, as you mentioned, is essentially for very small startups is selling to enterprise, because when you don't have let's make an example. You go to an automotive company, which is $1 billion company,
Right.
and they're making a couple of hundred of millions in revenue. It's a really hard decision to choose a security solution from something like a 1 year old startup, because of course there is a very big board. There is a lot of people on security side, and for example, the CISO or IT security director, IT security manager, if they choose your product and something happens, it's them that you're wrong. So unfortunately, they most of the C level probably they would go with a stabilized companies, something like, I don't know, IBM, Cisco, something like that, because
Sure.
if something happens, of course, it wouldn't be their fault, because it's going to be Cisco, something like, it's going to be the CrowdStrike. So I don't know if you've heard, for example, for this CrowdStrike outage, but if that would have happened for a small startup, a lot of CISOs would have get fired. Okay,
Oh
but
yeah.
for big corporations, CrowdStrike, probably they're not going to fire anybody over that. So that's a challenge. So between you go to the market and you have enough credibility to sell to big guys, it takes time.
Got it. Got it. Um, what are your goals right now? Like, where are you trying to grow the business in the next 3 to 5 years? What's your objective? Obviously, how long you've been doing it.
Yeah. So we want to we want to focus on two things. So we want to of course focus on technology and innovation, because we want to have a superior solution and solutions essentially. We don't want to also want to be, we don't want to also be a mono product company. We want to have multiple products to cover multiple aspects of security. On the other hand, expansion. So we want to expand very fast, as fast as possible, and not very, capital intensive, because I actually believe that you can, expand with low capital, so don't burn money, and just invest what you earn, and do it organically. So that's our plan essentially for the next 3 to 5 years. But of
Nice.
course, we're going to get funding to do it faster. But
Scale faster. Yeah. What are there any kind of lessons that you've learned that you sort of wouldn't have expected going in?
so in doing a startup, you learn. Okay, you learn a lot of stuff. But
Nice.
one thing I always, this is my second startup, third company, second startup, and I've always,
Okay.
understand how little I chat with customers before launching something, or before I talk. So it's always, whenever I think about launching another company, I always said I need to talk to 2 times, 3 times more customers than I talked last time, because it's talking with the customers, having an understanding of the current challenges is very, very important. But also that there is a problem in European market, which is something like, probably the European market is 2 3 years behind American market in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of the technology that they adopt. So it would be much more beneficial to have a global understanding of the needs and challenges.
Got it. Got it. Have you relied on any mentors or kind of support people in your life while building out this business?
Yeah, absolutely. I had couple of friends there, in same business, but with white hairs. So I, I'm honored that they kind of pass something like 1 hour every 2 months or every 3 months with me. They probably even make some travels to come to pass time in Italy, or with each other on doing to road shows. But absolutely, I think having people with good mentality and good mindset is very important, because creating a company is really challenging. uh, you shouldn't do it if you're doing it only for, I don't know, if you don't love it, you shouldn't do it, because it would have probably stages in your life that it would probably burn you out. It would probably dry you out mentally. But apart from that, having circling yourself with good people, with high motivation, high mindset is very important.
Got it. Any like crazy stories of like cybersecurity fails or things that went wrong, like terribly wrong?
It's a yes, but I don't know how detailed I can share about that, because
Okay.
usually But we a couple of years back, so we kind of did this tool to assess the infrastructure of the companies, assess let's say Active Directory, the accesses that they have, and a lot of things that for example, we went into a specific company and we did a assessment. It was a very critical public government, and we found stuff that people have backed up and did a backup on shares, and this is stuff that probably it would have been illegal to do. So crazy stuff that we've seen a lot. But as cybersecurity, in this industry, seeing companies that have incidents or I don't know they're blocked is kind of our daily routine. But seeing that people abuse the systems internally to do stuff, something like I don't know, back up their personal stuff on this backup servers or this stuff, it's really fun. Sometimes we see it, but this is a limit that I can share without going into the details.
Nice. Any other kind of takeaways or lessons or things that you want to impart on an earlier stage entrepreneur who's getting in the cybersecurity space or trying to get involved?
So cybersecurity, I would probably suggest for anybody who wants to create a company in cybersecurity to probably work a couple of years
Jobs.
in cybersecurity. Exactly, do some cybersecurity jobs. Even if I want to do it from zero, I would probably go and ask one of those guys that are my mentors right now to hire me without paying me anything. I would work for them something like for 1 year for free to just learn how they operate and how they, because let's say you invest 1 year of your life, in learning from top people, but that 1 year actually creates, the 20 years of experience, kind of all in one capsule that you can take from that person. Of course, it's really as I told you, cybersecurity market is a very different market. It's competitive. It's super technical. It's very
different.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different, and it's really built on a trust. And trust is very important, and that's what you're trying to achieve. Because as you see, a lot of SaaS companies, they existed 1 year ago, they don't exist right now. It can happen for cybersecurity because it's, let's say, Chris, if you have a company and we are providing cybersecurity to you want us to watch over you while you're sleeping, while you're doing your business, growing your business. You want the cybersecurity company to protect you, to help you. So that's a different story. It's a different challenge, but try to work in cybersecurity industry, and I think it's going to be very different in the next couple of something like in the next 10-15 years. A lot of things will be much more automated, but we will have much more need for cybersecurity.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, Jim, thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you or keep up with you?
So you can reach me on LinkedIn. You can search Jim Biniyaz on LinkedIn with Y. And
Nice.
You can also reach us on our website, ResilientX.com.
Yeah, and guys, we'll link all that in the chat so everybody can have it. And Jim will also lock you into our Slack. So if anybody reaches out or is interested in potentially talking to you,
Absolutely.
We'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thanks, Jim.
Storm.